Hey everybody, Alex from Alter Eden here. Hello. You may have seen one of our guitar playthrough videos, maybe Tigers and Lambs perhaps. So we thought we'd take you through what makes that sound. So the first and most important thing in any guitar rig is actually, come on, this. This is the world's worst guitar strap. It is awful. Look at it. It's got yin and yang and thorns on it. It's terrible. But I've had it since I was about 17 and no other strap is the right length for me now, so I have to stick with it forever. Yay. Guitar. This is a 2000 and something, I don't know, 6 Les Paul Studio, which I actually preferred over the standards that I played because I didn't really like the maple cap. I thought it was too bright, whereas this is very even across all the strings and it suits what I do with the guitar. It's got a 1980s DiMarzio in the bridge, blood-stained, covered in muck. It's probably a PAF Pro. It's probably out of some Steve Vai signature because it's lime green and it glows in the dark. It's great. And a standard neck pickup just because it's nice and it doesn't need to be replaced. It's battered and broken, blood stains. There's scratches all over this. There's a big chunk of paint coming off here. That's a chunk of paint missing there. Oh, there's a big rash there, dents in it over here, scratches, paint missing there. Yeah, it's seen a few years, but it's properly my go-to guitar. Everything I play, I compare back to this because it just feels so natural to me. It's almost made for me. It's brilliant. I love this thing. And they've all got middle-class bloke names, so this one's called Tarquin. Tarquin usually sends his signal through a gaffer-taped Line6 G30 relay. Gaffer tape is tone. That's for tonal purposes. And that runs into the pedal board. Now, if you've ever been to a gig and they're all tap dancing in front of you, this is why. It's all shiny lights. They do all do things, they're not decorative. We'll split it up in different zones. This is the boring zone. Welcome to the boring zone here. The boring zone gets everything done that you need to do before you can have fun. The start of every pedal board should be a tuner. If you don't have one, see previous video about 20 mistakes that musicians make and buy one. Also mute your guitar. Oh. How clever, how useful. Continuing into the boredom zone, we have the MXR Super Comp, which is a compressor. Effectively, if you want to know what a compressor does, it makes the volume differences in your guitar or whatever instrument less noticeable. So, for example, in this guitar, the high strings are quite loud in comparison to the low strings. That's also part of the pickup. So if I hit a full chord, there's a lot of this, not a lot of this. So you hit the compressor and it brings all the volumes in line and you get this. Lovely. And because I play noisy things in a noisy, rocky, shouty band, we've got a noise suppressor or a noise gate. And this stops some lovely hum and it stops feedback. For example, if I didn't have it, that's the difference that makes. This is the boring zone. Should we come out of the boring zone? Yes, let's. Shall we go to the fun zone? Yes. So the fun zone is all the brightly coloured things, starting with this. This is the Digitech Whammy 5. It's the 5th of its kind. The 4 was brilliant. I had one for many, many years until I broke it repeatedly. It was good because it was rubbish. Now, the Whammy is renowned for being a pitch shifter, so it changes the pitch of the guitar and harmonizes and stuff, but it was very bad at it, which is why people liked it. So I loved it because it was terrible at its job, and then the 5 came along, which is better at its job and therefore worse. Stay with me. But it runs off the same power supply as everything else rather than needing its own Chernobyl to power it, which is great. Moving on from the fun zone, we have this little yellow beauty here. It's a little phaser. It's just a little cheapy phaser. That's all it does. No explanation needed, really. Okay, and this is the best part of the fun zone, the Line6 DL-4. I love this thing so much. It is at the heart of everything I do. I used to be in an indie band for quite a while, and it's all about dem delays in there. So it's got 3 settings for me at the moment. It's got a short, relatively short tape echo in the first one, which adds a nice little, almost sort of reverby ambience to it. You've got a longer tape echo, which is set almost like a rhythmic sort of dotted eighth kind of feel. And then this is your post-rock, dreamy, ocean-sizey sort of setting with a really long decay on it, so it makes everything sound all fantastic. It's great for volume swells as well, and I love this, and I use it at least 2 to 3 times in every song. Moving on from the fun zone, we've got the angry zone. Yes, the angry zone. Now, all of these make your guitar very shouty, which is excellent fun in a rocky, shouty band. Starting off from nicest to least nicest, we've got this. This is a Bad Monkey tube screamer. It's quite nice because it's got a 2-band EQ, it's got lows and highs, so you can sculpt your sound a little bit more than most of them. And it's very cheap and cheerful, and for what you pay for it, it's fantastic. I love it. Okay, next up, this is just a foot switch for the amp, but I love the amp's overall sound and the distortion, that it's actually my main distortion. So that's more angry than the Bad Monkey, but not quite as angry as the Big Muff. Great name, eh? This is Electro Harmonix Russian Big Muff. The American ones are huge and silver and sound slightly different. They're very trebly and very harsh. Which is great for some things. The Russian ones are very, very, very about that bass, no treble. Loads of low end to them, great with bassists, so I use it mostly for rhythm sort of stuff. So they're all very shouty. Okay, moving on to amps now. I've still got somewhere a Laney TT series, which is one of the most versatile amps I've ever used. 3 channels, independent equalizers. Fantastic thing, and I used it for many, many, many moons for different styles of music. I bought this as a backup for less than £200, including foot switch and case, which is an amazing deal. Ended up liking it more, so I actually use them, and I'm looking for more of them now. Amazing things. So they're very simple amps, point and shoot sort of thing. You've got a very simple control face on the front here. It's got a nice sort of almost Class A style clean channel that breaks up very nicely, and then it's got a lead circuit which is basically cloned off the Soldano amps, the SLO 100s and the Mike Soldano circuit, licensed and cloned in this. So it's got an amazingly massive dirty sound, which is great fun. So I'm using that as the main sound now, and it runs into this really terrible old Laney cab, which despite having tried to replace with Marshall 1960s and orange cabs, I don't really like any of them as much as that, because it's just got this ridiculous amount of low end on it, which is brilliant. Okay, so we're going to show you a few different ways that I make all this make pretty noises. Now, I should tell you that I like making my guitar sound not like a guitar, because it's way more fun. So, just as an example, starting one song called Resent, Resent, Repeat, that's got the whammy on an octave up, it's got the phaser on, and it's got a relatively short tail delay on it. Starts off like this. So that's quite cool. And then when I switch into the heavier section just after that, I have to, as I'm playing, go. Switch all of those off and then go with the standard overdrive, which is a lovely, lovely chunky sound. And if I want to do something horrible and noisy and loud and disgusting, I always have my trusty gaffer taped Big Muff. Very, very fat sounding, which is great fun. Really, really, really good fun. The main fun things that I do involve the whammy and the delays though. So as an example, if you set it on the octave up harmony in Tigers and Lambs, and then at some point during the song you pop the octave on and it goes all church organy. Also, one of my favourite things to do is to put the whammy on, put it on an octave down harmony, and effectively you got yourself a little bass guitar playing in the background of you. But at the end of our set on a song called We've Had Enough, I combine that with the Big Muff, which is just the most unholy sound ever, and it's the most fun thing to play. It goes a bit like this. In the middle of that, you can sweep it from the octave down to the octave up, which is great because you get that real big sound going from the... And it just sounds all disjointed and fun. And that pretty much covers it. That's all of the funny noises and pretty lights that are on this. All that's left to say is...